sometimes we don't realize, like generally in life, sort of how fast we're moving, until sort of something forces us to slow down, like a long weekend or a quiet moment where you know it, or a moment where you're just not checking the time, and then something interesting happens. You breathe differently, you eat differently, you move differently, like you think differently. There's space, and just like that, you're kind of like, hey guys, I'm back. And then you go back into the rush, and then you go, okay, what's next? We need to do this now. Quick, 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 quick. And without realizing it, you went from having some space and having some peace in your life where you weren't rushing, and all of a sudden you're just back in the what do they call it? The rut.
The rut.
The rut. So hello friend, Petra Ranger. How you doing?
I'm fine, and you? How you doing?
You're like, yo, you have bass in your voice.
I'm trying to learn from you. Drop the lizards.
087.
911, call me.
Yeah, and call me. No, let's not do that, because we'll get a BCCSA quickly. So I thought this would be. It was. Did you have a nice long weekend before we jump in?
It was so great. It was relaxing. I went to the dam with some friends of mine. I read a book, a soft cover, an actual book, not digitally, and it was so good.
Okay.
And everything was slow. We cooked from scratch. We had the most amazing food. We sat around the table.
Can't tell me about food and not tell me what you had.
There were probably about 6 dishes. Lots of all veg, predominantly all veg, and just a concoction of the most incredible dressings and combinations, which I'd never had. No, I ate well.
Good. How many Easter eggs did you have? And not the number you tell people, like the real number.
0.
Really?
0, because I didn't manage to find any vegan eggs, of course, but I did chomp down on the hot cross buns with the Biscoff filling from Woolworths.
Okay.
Oh my God. I won't tell you how many of those I had.
How many?
Comes in a pack of 4.
Okay, so you had 4.
I had 4.
Yeah, that's nothing. You made it sound like you were about to brag.
I have never had 4.
Really?
In such a small succession, but it's fine. Now we eat clean.
Okay, all right. Starting to understand what happens when we shift from that moment of rest back into the rush. From your perspective, why does it feel like everybody is constantly in a rush?
So, we've been kind of raised and trained to be looking for goals and setting goals and moving forward, leaning forward, failing forward. It's all about the future.
Yeah.
So we're used to constantly aiming for the next thing. We're not really raised and taught to just be present with the task or the goal or the project that we're doing. It's always, okay, this one's done, what's the next thing? And I realized that in my life so much. So I'd have these massive achievements, and it was the quickest, yay, that was cool, that was fun, what is the next thing that we're working towards? And that's how we are. If we look at the business world, or if we're entrepreneurs, whatever that environment is, it's always what is the next. So when we're busy with something now, we're always future focused. So we forget how to be present now.
Enjoy the moment.
Completely. So our bodies go into survival. Our bodies go into... and our bodies don't also recognize, they don't know the difference between being busy and there's a threat that we're running away from. So our bodies interpret it as we're running. So therefore there must be a threat. So cortisol increases. We get into the state of anxiety. It's so interesting. So I always link the body, mind, and being connection. So that's one that, if we look at it from that perspective, how much more liberating can it be to say, okay, it's actually my body that I need to slow down.
Got you.
Or else I enjoy 2 or 3 days and a long weekend. And then I'm going again. Or I don't even enjoy it, which is what I never did. On holidays, I had my laptop. Always had my laptop with me because I couldn't switch off. I was always going for the next thing.
But I feel like for people like that work in industries like ours, like it takes fleeting and quick and on the ball to like another level. I mean, I know they like the jungle of Joburg.
Yes.
It's a crazy place. Somebody said to me, I read an interesting quote the other day, and I think I might have mentioned it to you before, about don't confuse movement with progress.
Yes. Well, I was on the treadmill this morning, and
Good
it
job.
actually, thank you, it actually popped into my head because I was running, and I thought, I'm running nowhere.
Going nowhere
And
slowly.
Going nowhere slowly. Yeah, and it was slowly. It wasn't really that fast, if I have to admit. But the thing is, it's exactly like you're saying. You're busy. We're moving, but we're not progressing anywhere. And it was exactly that on the treadmill. I was running. I was busy.
But you were going
I was
nowhere.
going absolutely nowhere.
Strange. How do we recognize the difference between being busy, which is normal, and being so rushed that we're not really present in our own lives anymore?
So, do you remember where you put, I mean, now you probably do, but for most people, for all of our listeners, where did you put your keys? Where did you put your car keys?
I know exactly where that.
Okay, you do, because you're sitting here and you have to have your stuff in a certain place. And you don't have too many places to stash them, but at home or at the office.
Yeah.
You know, where do we leave our stuff? And so many times we think that our memory is challenged,
Yes.
but it's actually just a being conscious and present moment, or lack thereof.
Absolutely.
So I think when we start looking at, you know, when we arrive somewhere without being cognitive, oh, dog, sorry, there's a little dog that just ran past.
Goodness gracious.
Cute.
Is it Tammy?
A little brown French bulldog.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, sorry about that to anyone that was listening. It's like a crow. Show
Goldfish.
me an animal and she's gone. But it really is a being able to be present where we are. So sometimes when we're driving and we get to the destination without being cognitive of how we got there. So our minds get into a repetitive pattern when we are doing something that we do regularly. You know, when you're making lunch, when you're eating, when you're having coffee, you know, how many cups of coffee have you had this morning?
Nothing.
And good.
Zero.
Okay, good. We're so many people, how many do we have on autopilot?
Yeah.
So it's that autopilot where we're not being present with our lives,
Crazy.
which is why we feel like things are happening on autopilot, and why we feel like we're in a loop. Life is happening, it's swishing past us, we aren't being present. We don't have anything to recall from yesterday or the day before, the week.
Nothing to compare it to.
Nothing to compare it to, and nothing that feels significant in our lives, because we're just looping and chasing. And if we are taking those mindful moments, that's how we start living, as opposed to just existing, which most of us do.
100%. The constant rushing, over time, it's not just stress, but how does it affect our energy, our thinking, and how we show up around people?
Well, we know that, you know, the saying goes that we can't really multitask, or we can't multitask effectively, which is absolutely true, because if we want to focus on one thing and do it properly, our minds have only so much energy or capacity to focus on one. When our focus is split, it does tire us out, because it's constant shifting of our attention everywhere, as opposed to focusing on one thing, and we feel a little bit more relaxed when we're doing it, even if it is intense, the task, the activity. So that impacts our cognitive energy, our cognitive load, is when we're constantly switching from thing to thing. So when we're in a fast pace, when we're rushing, of course, it increases cortisol as well, which I mentioned earlier, where our bodies recognize it as we're fleeing from something. So that happens as well, which means that our nervous system is dysregulated. So if anything, it just becomes a spiral, because
that knock-on effect is crazy.
It's crazy. Look at how fast we walk. You know, I went for lunch with a friend of mine the other day. We went to one of the golf courses because I wanted to be out in nature and I wanted green. So we went there and we ended up arriving at the same time. And from our cars to the entrance, we were speed walking. And I thought, where are we going in such a hurry?
Going nowhere slowly.
It's a public holiday. It's Monday. We're just going to have a
Everybody
relaxed
take a
lunch.
breath.
Completely. But we get into a habit of doing everything fast. We eat quickly. We drink quickly. We walk quickly. We speak quickly. We rush everything.
Those everyday habits, as you mentioned them, like the way we eat, or the way we listen, the way we move through a conversation, that sort of quiet show of rushing, that we don't even realize that. It's just, at what point does that become real to you, where you go like it was to you on Monday, where you go, guys, hold on a second. We just need to hit the brakes here a little bit.
Yeah. I think there's a moment that happens for all of us, and it will look different. But for example, you might have had your 6th cup of coffee and it's 12 o'clock and you're having it and you're thinking, did I just have coffee or not? So I think it's catching ourselves in those moments. Or when you drive somewhere and you arrive and you do not remember the journey at all. So I think it's just being willing to catch yourself in those moments. And that's when you have the control to change something.
Got you.
So that's when you slow your walk down. Purposefully. That's where...
Living with purpose. Living on purpose.
Living on purpose. Gotcha. Paul, you've been reading my book.
Yeah. How much of this of this sort of rushing and like moving to the next thing, how much does this shape our environment? Because, you know, our phones, our workplace, even the way our homes are set up, you know, like we eat in front of the TV because sitting at the table, and let's park the family time thing for just a second. We sit in front of the TV because it's easy and we want to do 2 things at once.
Yes. We want to relax and feed ourselves.
Like, how do we work through that? How do we get past that of going, guys, it's dinner, it's family time. This is the one point where you like enjoy your food, enjoy each other's company, just enjoy the moment that you're in. Like, how do we get back to that?
So it's a choice, right? We have to consciously make a decision and a choice to say, I am not going to eat in front of the television. I'm going to eat at the table. Another example, for example, double there. When I'm walking my dogs in the park, I've usually got my earphones in listening to a podcast because I'm walking them and being productive simultaneously.
Gotcha.
And there are times when I've consciously got to decide, put them away. I've already plugged them in. I've already put them in my ears. I've maybe already started the podcast and I'm like, oh no, hold on, just be.
Yeah.
Just be.
Just enjoy where you are.
Completely. And one thing that we can do is, it's called sensory, what is it called now? Sensory something. Sensory presence, that's what it is. Where it's, okay, if I'm going to eat my food now, how can I pay attention and invite all my senses into the act of eating my food?
Yeah.
So what does it look like? What does it taste like? What is the texture changing? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Is there a crunch or is there a swish in our mouths? When we're with friends, family as well, is bring all your senses into that present moment. Because when you're focusing on that, almost like meditating on your breath, you can only focus on the one thing.
100%.
So that's something that we can do, but it takes a decision before it happens.
You slip out of that.
You've got to decide up front to say, when I eat dinner today, and also another thing is, if you can, tell someone else that you're doing it with. So that one of you at least will catch you doing it.
The other person, this one is important for me. Slowing down, does it make us less productive or does it help improve how we function?
Completely helps how we function, which we wouldn't think so because we think if we multitask, we're getting a lot more done. But what happens when we're multitasking, again, when we're in a rush, when our brain is, or our minds are in fight or flight, what it does is, again, it depletes our energy, but it takes away our ability to concentrate, to get creative, to get clarity on one thing, because there are so many things happening.
Sure.
So if we manage to reduce it to one thing, to be present on the one thing that we're busy doing now, it opens up our minds. It gives us more clarity on what we're doing so we can actually work through it quicker. It makes us more creative so we can find solutions and answers to whatever we need quicker, versus having a periphery of a lot of little things that are happening, but no clarity or focus on any one thing. So it actually makes us a lot more productive that we manage to shift through the tasks quicker versus overwhelmed because there are so many things that our mind now needs to focus on and split our focus. So,
I mean, I'm doing that right now. So I'm talking to you and I'm reading my notes as I go along. For somebody that's listening right now, and they go, that's me. I'm the one who's always rushing. Where do you even start? Like, how do you slow down without feeling like you're falling behind from everything?
Pick one thing. Just one thing. Don't try and overhaul your whole life to say, I need to be present with everything. well, you're rushing and you're setting yourself up for failure, because if you've been in a pattern of rushing in every area, you change one habit at a time. So it's focusing on, and it doesn't actually matter what it is. Because if you're focusing on, I'm going to be present while I'm eating, even if that's got nothing to do with you driving or walking fast.
It's one thing at a time.
It's the one thing. And as soon as you are able to, I don't want to use the word master it because it makes that another achievement. But as soon as you're able to be more, I know how our minds are. I know because I do the same thing. Where it's not an achievement, it's more a, let me see how this feels in my life. Let me see what this changes in my life. Because if you can slow down one thing, whether it's eating or even just walking to the car, you know, I do things so quickly because I am always after the next goal, the next achievement.
Chasing the next thing.
Chasing the next thing. So if I can get there quicker, it means I can probably do a lot more today.
100%.
But if you look at, let's say, when people drive a little bit faster and you've only got 10 Ks to go and you're putting foot, you actually only get there 1 minute earlier.
Yeah, that's it.
It doesn't make a significant...
Red robot renders us all equal.
And taxi stopping in front,
yeah,
and all of that. So it's being aware that rushing so much doesn't actually significantly increase the value of our lives, or the quantity, or the amount that we can achieve, or the goals we can achieve. So if we can actually break it down and look at, maybe it's the sense that we're getting a lot more done, but we're a lot busier, not actually being more efficient. As to your point earlier, we're just a lot busier. We're on the treadmill of life, just going nowhere slowly, or going nowhere fast.
Before we get to just one thing, how does present actually, like, how does it look like in a real everyday moment? Not this big, perfect way, like the way that we talk about it. You know, just a normal, average 38 minutes past 1 on a Wednesday afternoon.
That's beautiful. I think it makes everything a little bit more meaningful. So, you know, and meaning could be just you walking from here to the car, because you've given yourself the time and space to connect with your body, with your breathing. Perhaps you've noticed you're breathing too quickly, or your muscles are tense because you're stressed, because you're walking in a hurry. It gives you those micro moments to be conscious and aware of your body, of your mental state. And that's when it gives you the opportunity to change something. So if your mental state is in a place of activation and stress, those micro moments are what's going to almost be the alarm bell, the siren, the mirror to say to you, okay, Paul, this is what's going on. Let's just take one breath.
Just take a breath and just figure it out.
So it's the micro moments in between the rushes.
Interesting. So before we sort of got to get out of here, and I hate is this the part I love and hate all at the same time? The one small thing we can do today to just slow our pace enough to allow us to feel.
So look at the one area that you know that you rush through. So it could even be a conversation with someone where you are multitasking, checking your phone, on social media, having conversations. You know, that is something that breaks down so many relationships. I remember feeling so alone in my relationship because my partner was constantly on his phone, watching TV, and not connecting with me. So that's when we're multitasking through things. So again, look at the one area in your life where you know that you could have a little bit more awareness and presence in those moments. And set up or think of, you know, what is just one thing that you can stop and change. So maybe what I'm going to change is, in conversation with you, I'm going to literally put my phone away in another room.
Gotcha.
Because if we're in a habit and a pattern of just reaching for the phone automatically, we're not even thinking, we're just reaching for it and we're reading a message completely. So it's breaking. How do we break that autopilot? We've got to consciously do something different. So think of that area in your life, and then think of just one thing that you can do differently that is going to break that pattern. And you'll have to do that on repeat.
So just like that, so it's just one breath between moments, like before the next email, or before like the next conversation, or before picking up your phone. Just pause and arrive. I love that.
And before you take your next sip of coffee, breathe, take pause.
Think about how many cups of coffee you've had.
Well, maybe just savor what it tastes like.
Yeah, that's a better. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea.
There you go.
I'm a five roses guy.
I went to a friend's launch of her tea room yesterday. She manages it.
Where is it?
In
Do they have
Parkhurst. They do have snacks, actually.
Yeah, we need to go.
It's so good. And during the tea ceremony, because I'm also not a tea drinker, I used to be when I was younger. Paulie, during the tea ceremony, I had the discussion or chat with the owner as well. And I wrote a little post about it saying, you can't rush tea. You know, tea, you sip tea, you savor tea.
You have to steep it. And
you have to steep it. So it's a whole ritual around it. And I thought maybe that's what I need to start doing, is start a tea ritual for myself.
Hey, you are too clever. Friend, thank you. Because it's simply like, I think what today reminds me of is that life isn't just about something that we need to get through. Something, because if we rush it, we miss it. And I'm not talking about it like big, dramatic, like theater type way. I'm talking about these little small ways about we miss things, about like we miss moments, we miss ourselves. We don't change things, we don't slow down like sort of enough to notice stuff, you know. But we do enough just to get by.
Yeah.
And we should be doing more than just getting by.
We should be living.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, everywhere we're not living, we're just existing. And that's where the year
No,
finishes.
slowly.
Completely. And the year's done. And we're thinking, what did I do this year that was meaningful? You know, 100%. Where are those meaningful conversations, those meaningful experiences?
Yeah.
And it's up to us. We have to change our pattern in the way we show up. It's completely up to us, which is great because it's in our control.
If we want to find you, talk to you, listen to your things, read your things, where can we find you?
Thank you. So petralaranjo.com, that's LARANJO, and that's where you can find a free downloadable sample of my book or get your book, or on Kindle, social media. It's Petra Laranjo and everything. And of course, the YouTube channel where our recordings live, which is great.
Amazing.